Hey y'all, welcome back to Homestead in the City. I am Zach and today we're going on a tour of my gardens. So we're going to start off here at my patio pond, and in addition to providing some white noise for us as we're sitting out here by the patio, it also helps create that cool environment around here, along with all of the shade that we get from our trees. We did some tests the other day in a 95 or 100 degree day, and it was a full 20 or 30 degrees cooler back around here than it was up front in the driveway where we had nothing but sun. So we are very thankful for this. Still working on patching some holes and stuff in it and getting it all prettied up, but this is one of our favorite additions. And next, if you've been with us for a while, you know that this is the chicken run tunnel that we've built, and you will have heard me say so many times we don't have chickens yet, but that has finally changed because we got our chickens. What you think? So we've got our 4 hens here. They are loving it. Percy likes to chase them. We had to reinforce the fencing that we made, the wattle fencing, with some metal fencing. Percy tore it down a lot. He wants to get in here and play with them. They want to get out and explore the rest of the yard, but we are loving having them here and glad to finally put this chicken run into use after a couple years of planning. Now, you may know our food forest area is right outside of that chicken coop and the chicken run. And Percy has loved running along the fence, harassing the chickens. And so he has torn up a lot of what we had going on in here. Some of the annuals, really. We've still got, of course, the plum tree, the loquat, the persimmon and mulberry and all that. And so we're just gonna have to work with that. We'll get some more stuff planted in here. Hopefully he'll calm down, but we're gonna keep that going. And a lot of the stuff still resilient, so we'll just run with it. All right, and next up in the middle, we have our 7-row fruit orchard. These 7 rows, they're in the middle of the yard, and we made them really just by piling up organic material. We brought in truckloads of wood chips. Each fall, when the leaves drop, we just kind of rake them onto the beds, let them mulch that and compost down. And now we've got over a dozen fruit trees and bushes growing along in here. And we've also got, this year, trying to grow up the side of the house, some hops. And I want to test out this because this is the south side of our house, so it gets the most sun, and we want to try to shade that from the sun, especially in these summer months, to prevent it from heating up. Like I said, over at the patio, we were able to keep it 30 degrees cooler than the driveway, and so that's a huge head start in cooling the house in the summer. I don't know where y'all live, but here in South Carolina, it gets over 95 to 100 degrees a lot of days in the summer, so that helps us cool down. And then, of course, in the orchard, the more the trees grow and help shade the ground, the less heat we're absorbing right here in the yard. So one of the big things here in South Carolina, of course, staying cool, and that is one of the objectives of this orchard and the plants on the house. Then back at the corner, we have our fountain pond. That is our old 1950s fountain that was completely falling apart. We refurbished it, repatched it, filled it with water, put some fish in there, and that water that's circulating around now, it has all that fish waste in there that is feeding the plants. And additionally, as the fountain kind of splatters around, it will water the plants around the edge. So you see, you know, we've had one rain in the past month maybe, and this stuff is just lush around here. This is another spot with all the shade, and the water helps keep it cool, and it's just a nice little focal point at the back of the orchard that kind of ties everything together. And again, we still haven't done too much in our greenhouse this summer. I do have this barrel of compost tea bubbling up, so from time to time I'll just grab a bucket of that and pour it on some plants, but it is mostly too hot to do anything in our greenhouse right now. Here is our original pond at the bottom of the hill. I've been doing some adjustments on it. That white pipe over there, that's actually coming from uphill at the fountain pond. So what I can do is drain that water into this pond and then use my well water to fill the fountain pond back up so that I can fill 2 ponds with 1 hose easily. And then right here at the edge of this pond, I've built an outlet, and that goes into this basin so that if the pond overflows, all of that rich pond water will come in here and water the trees that are right around this. We've got pawpaw right here, our banana right here, we've got a willow back there, and then this is not a tree, but it's probably a 9-foot sunflower, and so it's just loving life right there. Not too many updates on the side yard here. We still got our key lime that completely died off in the winter. And so that is bouncing back. We've got the, what is this, our Meyer lemon that we're gonna try to spoliate up the side of the house. And probably the biggest thing is our muscadine, which is coming in pretty thick now. We're working on growing that up the entire wall and probably even over this gate area. Might even put a little trellis that kind of loops over the pathway, but we'll see. What do y'all think? Then moving into the front yard, the first thing we have is our pallet raised beds. So these are the garden beds that I made with just a couple pallets and screws for free. We have filled them with some wood chip and soil and compost on top. These are volunteer Sea Island red peas that just grew in from what fell down in last season's harvest. And they are just thriving so well. I mentioned earlier, we've had 95, 100-degree days. We have not artificially watered these beds at all. And they're doing so well that I actually was able to pull up some of these and the volunteers that were growing around the edges and use them as mulch that we'll see in just a second on my other beds. And I got a clue as to how they are thriving so well. But then one more thing I just wanted to show off here. This is a simple trellis that I made between 2 beds with just some sticks and twine. And so the peas are growing up that, gonna try to get it to arch all the way over. And pretty happy with how these are doing this spring, summer, whatever it is. Okay, so these are my upper beds. This is where I told y'all I pulled some of my vines, the peas, some of the Virginia creeper, and some morning glory around here, and used them as mulch. And when I pulled those Sea Island red peas, I found this is the taproot of one of them. And so that was going, I mean, you can see well over the depth of the bed down into the soil, reaching down, getting plenty of groundwater. So even though we went for weeks without a rain, those peas over there had no problem getting water. These guys, their soil is not as developed in these beds, and I haven't mulched them as well. And I also haven't had too much in them. And so what I'm trying to get going right now is some of my sweet potato that I had rooted, put some slips in there the other day. Hopefully they'll kind of take over, and those vines will just mulch these beds, and we'll have a little bit of sweet potatoes to harvest at the end of the summer, but we'll see how those work out. And the berry hedge on the other side of the driveway, it is just very slowly coming in. I did have, I believe these are some blackberries that are bouncing back. But I'm still gonna have to, we're gonna be adding a lot more fruit trees and bushes in here. This, of course, is one of the last things that we've been working on after moving to the house, but we're getting there. And of course, in all this work, we have been working to maintain our wildlife habitat status by making our water features, planting native plants, all that. We want to help maintain and support the local ecosystem, because we know that that in turn helps us, from the pollinators pollinating our fruit to the bees and birds eating the pest. We love having all of them around. So it's not even 9 a.m. I'm already sweating. I'm gonna try to stay cool. Thanks for touring our garden. We'll see you in the next video.